Hi, welcome to my channel Ruby Statement. Today I'll be teaching you how to knit this beautiful hat. It's very easy to do. It's a repetition of 4 rows. I hope you guys like it and give it a try, and here is the list of material you're gonna need to make. I'm gonna show you as well other 2 colors that I bought of this type of yarn. They're gorgeous, but this was the 3 that I like the most. So I just wanted to show you other choice of color. To make this adult size hat, we're gonna use Lion brand yarn scarfie. It's 78% acrylic, 22% wool. It have 150 grams or 285 meters, bulky 5, and the color is cream and black. The netting needles that I'm gonna use are 7 millimeters. And I put a styrofoam at the end, that way I don't make a lot of noise when I'm working here in front of the camera. You're gonna need tapestry needle, scissor, measurement tape, and something to keep track of your rows, something to write with. I made this one for William. This is for a baby. And I mentioned that I'm gonna do one for adult. So I have 2 that I already made here. These 2 adult size. This one I made without this border, like this. It's gonna be like that, just plain like that. And this one you fold the border over the brim. So I'm gonna give you the information of these colors and the yarn, just in case you don't have a Lion brand and you have loops and thread. Impeccable, you can use this one. This one had 128 grams, 100% acrylic, and the color of this one is Deep Forest, and they are medium 4, and the color of this one is navy. I have 81 grams left of this one and 68 grams left of this one. So I have enough yarn here to make a hat with each color again, another type of hat. So it's very economic. You can make 2 hats with 1 ball of yarn. So let's start making our adult size. These are the other 2 colors, and they are gorgeous. The color of this one is charcoal aqua, and this one is charcoal magenta. So I have quite a few of these, like 6 of these for a little sweater or pullover. And I have 2 of these that may be for a scarf and a hat, but they're gorgeous. So that's the other option of color that they have in these. Now we have to leave the tail for casting on, and we're gonna cast on 66 stitches. And it's incredible that the baby size hat I cast on 62 stitches, and the adult size hat is 66. Only 4 stitches different. But the big difference is the size needles. You see? I use for the baby a 5.5, and for the adult size I'm gonna use a 7 millimeter. So that will make a big difference. So I'm gonna wrap around here 33 times. Once I have the 33 times, I will pull that from the needle, fold it in half, and mark where the length at the tail that I need is. So I'm gonna do that off camera, and I'll show you how to cast on the stitches. Here I have my amount of tail that I need for my casting on. I'm gonna do slip knot. And that's my first stitch of 66. So I'm gonna start casting on my stitch like this. So I will meet you here when I have my 66 stitches. When you finish casting on, you will have a few stitches like this, and you will do a knot with the tail. That way you secure the first stitch. So it will be like this. So if you don't have a size 7 netting needle and you have a size 8, you can cast on 60 stitches for the design or the motifs and 2 for the border. Now if you don't have a 7 or 8 and you have a 6, and then you have to cast on more stitches, so you'll be casting on like 72 for the stitch and 2 for the border. But I really recommend a size 7 knitting needle. That way you just cast on 66. So now we're gonna start with the border of our hat. So these two hats are done the same. The only difference is the amount of rows. So to this one, to the border here, the brim, I did 10 rows. For this one, let me fold this, I did 14 rows. And for the length of these ones, here is a 4-row difference of the motif. This one have 4 more rows, and that's why that one look much bigger, because the amount of row, no the amount of stitches. They're both done with 66 stitches. So we're gonna start with the border stitch, and always we're gonna start with a net for the border stitch. And the next one will be 1 purl. Now we're going to do 2 net, 2 purls, 2 net, 2 purls, 2 net, and at the end we're going to end with 1 purl and the border stitch. So 2 net, 2 purl, 2 net, 2 purl, 2 net, 2 purl, 2 net, and I will meet you here at the end to show you how you're gonna work the border stitch. Here I have 2 left, so I had to do 1 purl and the border stitch that I'm gonna pass without working. I'm gonna turn my work around. Now I'm gonna start with a net. You always start with a net. Now we're going to work the stitches as we see them. So that one is a net, so you're going to do a net. And these two are purls, you're going to do 2 purls. 2 purls, 2 net, 2 purls, 2 net, 2 purls, 2 net, 2 purls. You're going to end with 1 net and the border stitch. And that's the repetition that we're going to do for the brim of the hat. Like this. So I will meet you here at the end, because you're going to end up with a net and you have to move your yarn to the front in order to pass your border stitch. So remember, it's 2 purl, 2 net, 2 purl, 2 net, and finish with a purl, with a net. So here I have my 2 stitches left, so I have to do a net, and then you're going to pass your yarn to the front like you're going to do a purl, and you're going to pass the last stitch to the other needle without working, because that's the border stitch. And then you're going to turn your work around, and you're going to start with your net. All is that border stitch is a net when you start each row. Now you have a purl, and then you have 2 net, and then 2 purls. You're going to continue working the stitches, and you're going to finish with a purl and the border stitch, the stitch that you're going to pass without working. You're going to start with a net, do another net, and continue working your 2 purls, 2 net, 2 purls, 2 net, and then you're going to end up with a net. And remember to pass your yarn always to the front before you pass the border stitch when you finish with a net. So I will meet you here when I have the amount of rows that I need for mine. And remember, mine will be this one with 14 rows, so you can do with 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 or more. Here is the end of row number 3. I wanted to show you one more time. You're going to finish with 1 purl, and you're going to pass the last stitch without working. You're going to turn your work around, and you're going to start with the border stitch as a net, The next one is a net, and then you're going to do your 2 purls, 2 net, 2 purls, 2 net, and then here at the end you're going to finish with a net, and remember to pass your yarn to the front and pass the last one without working to your needle, the border stitch. Here I have my 14th row. So now we're going to start with our stitch. So the stitch will repeat itself every 4 rows. So you do it from row 1 to 4, and then start from row number 5, you start from row number 1. So over and over until you have the desired length. So you're going to start with your border stitch. And you always will do the border stitch the same. You're going to net that stitch. And you're working on the right side of the piece because the tail is in the front. So the purl always stay purls. So you're going to do your first purl. Now here you had 2 net, so you had to do 1 net, yarn over, and another net. So when you had to do a yarn over before a net, you had to do the yarn over in the front. So you do a net, you have to do another net, so you bring your yarn to the front, and then you do a net with the yarn from the front, and that creates the yarn over in here. Now you have 2 purls, so you do 2 purls. 1 and 2, yarn to the back. Again you have your 2 net, so 1 net, yarn to the front, and then you do the other net from the front, creating that yarn over in between those two. We are increasing a stitch in this row, and we'll decrease that stitch in row number 3. So again, 2 purls. Now again 2 net, so you're gonna net the first one, yarn to the front. So when you're gonna do the net from the back, you see you're creating that yarn over in there, in between those two. You're increasing in 1 stitch. And 2 purl. One net, yarn to the front, and another net. Like that you're going to continue all the way to the end, and you're going to finish here with your purl and the border stitch that you're going to pass without working. Once you finish row number 1, you're going to start row number 2 with your net border stitch. Now you're going to work the stitches as you see them. So this one, that is a purl in the right side, is a net in the wrong side, so it's a net now. And now these 3 stitches that you have here, they were net in the other side, they're purl in this side, so you're going to do 3 purls. So you're working the stitches as you see them. That was the yarn over, so that will be a purl and the next purl. Now in here you had 2 net, you'll do 2 net, and the next 3 here, you see, in here are 3 purls, and this is row number 2. You're going to be doing the stitches as you see them. So now it's 2 net 3 purl, 2 net 3 purls, all the way to the end, that you're going to finish with a net and the border stitch. You're going to continue doing this. 2 net 3 pearls, 2 net 3 pearls. And now you hardly can see with this yarn are the stitches, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave here the work done with the red yarn for the baby hat, those 4 rows. I'm gonna leave those clips here, that way you can see better the work, because with this one I thought that here in the beginning I'm gonna have the lighter color. So I'm gonna continue doing this 4 row with this one here in camera, and then after I will leave those explanation for those 4 row with the red. That way you get a better view. I'm gonna work row number 3. In row number 3 is the row that we're gonna cast off those stitches and do see the crossing of the stitch here, the cross on top of the other 2, like this. So the first one is a net, the second one is a pearl, so you work in the stitches as you see them, and then you have 3 net in here. You're going to pass the first one to the other needle without working, and then you're going to net the other 2. You're going to pass the first one that you knit without netting and pass it over those others 2, and you cast off and cross a stitch at the same time. Yarn to the front, 2 purl, yarn to the back. Again, you have your 3 nets. You pass the first one without working, and then you have 2 that you're going to net. 1 and 2, and you're going to pass the first one, the one that you don't work, on top of the other 2. Now you're going to do 2 pearls, and like that you're going to continue all the way to the end. You don't see much here, but like I said, I'm going to leave that part where I did this stitch with the red, that way you have a better look at the stitches. Now row number 4, you're going to knit the border stitch, and then the next one is a net, and the next 2 are 2 pearls. So you're going to work the stitches as you see them. Now 2 nets, and then 2 pearls, Like that, you're going to continue all the way to the end. To net, to purl, to net, to purl. And you're going to finish with the net and the border stitch. And that's the repetition you're going to do for row number 4. So here I have my 4th row. Don't see like much, but even with the other color, the first 4 rows, you don't see the stitch. As you work, and then is when you start seeing the stitch. So now I'm going to leave here those 4 rows done with the red. I was working in this one, so I'm gonna leave those clips in here. That way you have a better view of the stitch when you work those 4 rows. So now for the length, for this one, I'm gonna do 32 rows, okay, of the stitch. Now if you want it like this one, without the border that you're gonna fold, you measure from here to the last row of a stitch from 22 to 23 centimeters, okay? And for this one I did 28 row of the stitch, and for this one I did 32. That's what I'm gonna do for this one, because I'm gonna fold the brim. So to measure the size, if you're doing like this one, you fold the brim the size that you wanted, and then you measure from here to here your 22 or 23 centimeters, okay? And that will give you let's see, the length of your hat. So I'm gonna continue working in this one until I have my 32 rows of the stitch, and then I will show you how you're gonna finish it up. So you're gonna see me working, like I said, with the red, because I want you to have a better look at the stitch. We're gonna start with the border stitch. We're gonna net that stitch, and always the purl will stay purl in the right side, and they will be net in the wrong side, okay? So they stay the same. The only change is in these 2 net, okay? So you're gonna purl your first purl, you're gonna net 1. Now you have to do a yarn over. So to do a yarn over in the next stitch, you have to bring the yarn to the front and net the next stitch, and that's what we're gonna do in this row. So the next 2 is 2 purls, so you're gonna do 2 purls, 1 and 2, yarn to the back. You have your 2 nets, so you're gonna net the first one, you're gonna do a yarn over, so you bring the yarn to the front, and that creates the yarn over in here when you work the next net. So in this row we are doing 1 increase in between the nets. So in row number 3 we're gonna decrease that stitch, and that create our motif or our design. So now 2 purls, so you're gonna keep the purl as a purls, yarn to the back, you're gonna do the first net, yarn to the front to create a yarn over, and you're gonna do another net. Again, 2 purls, yarn to the back, 1 net, yarn to the front, and you're gonna do another net, and that creates the yarn over in between. So yarn to the front, 2 purl, yarn to the back, 1 net, yarn to the front, and another net. Like that you're going to continue until the end, where you're going to finish with a purl, and your border stitch you're going to pass without working. Now we're gonna work row number 2. We're gonna knit the border stitch. So we're gonna work the stitches as we see them. So the first one here is a knit. Now we have these 3 here, the 2 knit that we did with a yarn over in the middle. So those 3 will be purls. That's the yarn over. You will do a purl, and then the other one a purl. Now you see you stitch here, you have 2 knits. You will do those 2 knits. The next 3, that was the 2 knit with the yarn over in the center, will be 3 purl. Now you're going to do your 2 knits. And then you have your 3 purls in here. So this stitch is very easy. And then 2 knit. So you're going to continue 2 knit, 3 purl, 2 knit, 3 purl, 2 knit, 3 purl, and then at the end in here you'll have 1 knit and the last border stitch that you will pass the yarn after the knit to the front. Pass your border stitch without working, and then we'll meet you here to do row number 3. Now we're going to start row number 3, and now we're going to cast off those stitches that we increase. So the first one, you're going to knit the border stitch. You see these ones always stay the same, and you're going to do your first purl. Now here we have our 3 knit, and what we're going to do is yarn to the back. You're going to pass the first knit to your needle without working, and then you're going to do 2 knits. 1 and 2. And you're going to pass that stitch that you pass to the needle without working over those other 2 that you knit, and you're going to cast it off like this. Now these 2 are 2 purl, so you're going to do those 2 purl. Yarn to the back. Again, you're going to pass that stitch, that knit, to the other side needle, and then you're going to knit the next 2, and you're going to pass that third one here. If you count 1, 2, the third one on top of those 2. And that's what create like a number 8 for the design. Again, yarn to the front, 2 purls, yarn to the back, pass that one without working, and then you have 2 knit. My battery's dying. And then you're going to pass the third one on top of this one, these 2, and then you're going to do 2 purl, and you're going to continue doing this all the way to the end, and you're going to finish with your purl and your border stitch. And then I will meet you here to do row number 4, that is the last one at the sequence of 4. Every 4 row you change to row number 1. So remember, 2 purl, you pass the first knit without working, do 2 knit and cast off that knit that you have in here on top of those 2. Okay. Now for row number 4, you're going to knit the border stitch, and the next stitch is a knit. Now here you have 2 purls, and 2 knit, and that is this row. 2 purls, 2 knit, 2 purls, 2 knit, all the way to the end. Because now we don't have that extra stitch, we cast it off, so we have our amount of stitch that we start with. So you're going to continue with this 2 purls, 2 knit, 2 purls, 2 knit, and you're going to finish with a knit and your border stitch at the end that you're going to pass without working. And you see the 2 purls, let me show you, they look like this in here. Okay, those are the 2 purls, 1 and 2. After that, we're going to start again with row number 1. So I wanted to remind you that after the 4th row, you're going to start again with row number 1. And then, so row number 5 will be the repetition of row 1. Row number 6, the repetition of 2. Row 7, the repetition of 3. And row 8, the repetition of 4. So in row 9, you start, I was going to speak Spanish, sorry. In row 9, you'll start all over again with row number 1. And so on, okay? Every 4 rows, you change the stitch to row number 1. It will look like this once you're done. And I measure 28 centimeters. But remember, it's long, but we're going to fold in here. Okay? So now we're going to start with the decrease. So we're going to start with a net border stitch. And then the rest will be 2 together and the net stitch. So you're going to end up with a border stitch that you're going to pass without working. So it's 2, 2, and 2, and a net stitch. Now for row number 34, this is the wrong side of the piece. You're going to knit the first stitch, and then you're going to decrease 2 together, 2 together, 2 together, and a purl stitch until the end that you're going to have the border stitch that you're going to pass without working. And that will be row number 34, all on the purl stitch. So row 35, you're going to knit 2 together, 2 together, except the border stitch that you don't gonna do it together. You're just gonna do 1 border stitch in the beginning and 1 at the end. And row number 36 will be an purl stitch. You're gonna knit the border stitch and 2 together and 2 together, end up with the border stitch without working at the end. So after those 36 rows, I will meet you here to finish our hat. And remember, we're doing row 34, 2 together, and a purl stitch. We'll do row number 35 and the net stitch, 2 together, and row number 36, 2 together, and 2 together, and a purl stitch. If you did the same amount of stitch as I did, you'll end up with 6 stitches. Now you're going to cut the yarn long enough for closing the hat in here and sewing the side. Now with the tapestry needle, we're gonna close the top of our hat, and we're gonna pass those 6 stitches. And I'm gonna pass the yarn twice because I like to secure the top of my hats very well. So that's the way I do it. I pass the yarn twice. So after that, I will be sewing the side of the hat, and I will show you that as well with the red. That way you have a better look of the stitches and where we are passing our needle through. But make sure that you have an even piece, that way in the border you don't have one longer and another one a little bit shorter. So we're doing exactly the same as we did with the adult size hat. So you're gonna pass, you see, the needle through those 6 stitches. And you're gonna pass your yarn twice through those 6 stitches. That way your hat is secure on the top. You don't want your hat to fall apart after all the hard work that you did to create this beautiful piece. So now you're going to pass your needle in between the border stitch and the purl stitch that you have in here. So that's why you did the border stitch. That will create a seamless piece. You don't have that visible seam in here. Something that I wanted to mention is that I sew this one all the way in the right side here, all the way to the end. That way William can put it on like this. You see, you hardly see the seam in here. But for this one, let me see, oh here, I sew this part until the border through the outside, and you don't see the seam in here. And then this part in here, I place the needle into the inside, and I sew this part in here through the inside. That way this stitch look a little bit like the other ones, you see, in here. You don't have much of a seam in there. So if you do the hat with a mix of color yarn, it will look even better. Well, here is the end result after you finish sewing. And in this part from here, I sew this part in here in the inside of the hat. That way you don't see the big seam in here, this one in here. But since this is a mixed yarn, you really can use it like this, so you don't see that much. But in here is perfect. So it looks like a small hat, but it's not. It's a adult size hat. They have nice stretch to it. And if you like, you can make a pom-pom, or you can buy those already made pom-pom. They look like the tail of a little bunny, nice and fluffy. And you can put it on. And I'm gonna weigh this to let you know how many grams I have left. I have 98 grams, so I have enough here to make another hat with a different stitch. That way they look different, but they're really beautiful. So now I'm gonna put it on in my model, and I'll show you the end result. This is the green one. I just wanted to show you, that way you see what it look like on. This one is going today as a birthday present. I love them. So now I'm going to show you the navy blue. It's gorgeous as well, with the folded brim. So now I'm going to show you the one that I did on camera. Well, this is the end result of this one. And in the black part you don't see that much the design. You see in the lighter color, and it looked amazing. Love this yarn for this hat. They have a selection of different colors, so if you want to give it a try, so you can make 2 hats with the ball of yarn. So it's perfect, and they look amazing. Another way that you can wear this hat is like a slouchy hat, because it have that extra length for folding the front. So in here you'll see the seam, but you will hide it with this part in here, and it looks amazing. So I hope you guys like it, and give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you are not already a subscriber. And if you make this piece and you want to send me some picture, you can do it through my Facebook page, Ruby Stedman, or you can find me in my Instagram, Ruby Stedman Crochet. Please share my video with friends and family. That way you help me grow here in YouTube. And don't forget to check my other videos, where I have tons of ideas that you can make them for Christmas present, birthday present, or just to enjoy yourself and your family. I wish you have a beautiful day.